We heard about Schrodinger's cat, but now we are looking at Frederick's cat.
Frederick's cat. Looks like a very sleepy cat.
Yeah, you'd think that. But it likes to jump up and down the wall, scratch everything, bite the other cats. It's probably the most active one I got. Actually, this cat we rescued off of a San Francisco freeway. Like, literally stopped the car and managed to catch it with help from another person.
Wow.
And now it lives with us.
Oh. Do you have like a bag of like cat treats that you kind of use to kind of like what's the methodology that do you try and give them some food or like
Of catching it? Well, this one was tiny at the time, so you just grab it. Yeah.
That was
I mean, you walk away with scratches still. I mean, it's still sharp, but it's sort of like you just got to mentally prepare yourself. Just grab it and then shove it into a. I happen to have a towel at the time, so we threw it inside of a towel so it can stop. So that way it would stop scratching us, and just wrapped it up and then took it home. So, anyway, the cats on the freeway are free, so feel free to take them home if you can catch them.
Oh, fair enough. All right, let me set up the notes for today. Into the meeting notes.
Brendan, do you do podcast from this office? You seem like you're pretty set up for a podcast.
Well, my mics and stuff is more for my music. I do a lot of music.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
So you're like a DJ or something?
No, I play electric guitar and a bunch of like
Oh.
other instruments. So it's like more like rock, pop rock, jazz recording stuff.
Got it. Wow.
I can share with you my YouTube channel, but I'm not gonna put it on the on the public chat. Okay. So it seems like we have a smaller group today. Oh, hey Chris.
Hello. Sorry for being late. We just got out of a design meeting.
Oh, good. So there were some discussions around a supply chain security landscape. I think this was Marina's something Marina's working on. So since she's not here, we can skip on that. We do have quick update on Cloud Native Security Con. So this Cloud Native Security Con that's happening next February. So for those that are not aware, here's the link to it. So as part of that, we have, as Tech Security, have a slot to talk about supply chain security. So basically, this is like a full like breakout session. I think it will be good to have one of the TLs as well as one of the community members kind of like combine forces to chat about this. So if there is interest of folks in the group to kind of like do that, I think it'd be drop a ping in the Slack channel, in the supply chain working group Slack channel, and then we can collaborate on that. I think we wanna kind of like highlight work that members are doing and kind of like get them more like into the community. It's in Seattle, I think 1st and 2nd February. So if you're in the area, that would be a good place to drop by. Cool.
I thought aren't we like doing something there, like a panel or something, in this or not?
We have a talk.
Yeah.
I think they have not really restricted how many people we can have, right? So we can have I think in panels up to four or five.
Yeah.
So we could definitely do something like that. I think as long as we find something that works, a format that works, I think we can have 10 minutes of 10 to 15 minutes of like, here's what the group does, here's like existing things, the security best practices paper, the reference architecture paper, and then after that we can kind of go into a more open discussion and Q&A.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. I think I'm very interested in doing that and being part of this community. I mean, and the good news is that it is in Seattle, which is like my neighborhood anyway. So that'd be great, actually, logistically for me as well. But I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm very interested in participating in that.
Awesome. Cool. Can you just drop a message in the Slack channel?
Okay.
And so that like we can have a discussion there, and then we can pick it up. I'll put the message now.
Yeah, a little bit of continuity on the conference. So it actually ended up stemming out from the initial KubeCon 0 day. And so it's basically just like CNCF projects graduate. This one is basically graduated into its own standalone, which is super exciting.
Yeah, that's a lot of content. So we'll see where this goes. So just an update on that as well, I guess, is that what we're doing now that this event has graduated to kind of its own event, we are changing a little bit of the format that we're doing at KubeCon, and what we're doing is something called like a security village. So the difference here is that it will not run as a co-located event, but it will run alongside KubeCon itself. So the plan as of now is to have like 1 or 2 rooms, and then have that concurrently being run with workshops, with CTFs, and then people can go between the main conference and like kind of the security village. And then alongside the security village, we also have like a track of talks as well. So if you're interested in that, also here's the link to the issue. I already put it in. So if you're interested in getting involved with that, this is still very early on. So if you have any ideas of like what we could do, that'll be a good place to participate in.
Oh, will this be on the first couple of days which is typically dedicated to co-located events, or will this run alongside the main KubeCon conference itself?
It'll run alongside the main KubeCon conference.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last agenda item I wanted to talk about was some of the policy work. But before that, I wanted to open up. Is there some topics that folks wanna talk about on the call today.
I guess I have a quick topic. Sorry for being late. So I don't know if this topic has already been covered or not, but is this also the subgroup that does things related to retrospective parts of the Cloud Native Security White Paper related to supply chain, or is the group that's doing that doing it for all parts of it?
The group that's doing it is doing it for the entire white paper. So if you're talking about the CNS, like the Cloud Native Security White Paper version 3 retrospective, that would be like a different group. So that would be Pushkar. Pushkar's leading that group.
Okay. I was just kind of curious if we think there are supply chain things that we won't mention to Pushkar, or if this is not the right group to discuss that in. I mean, I can bring things up directly, but I'm thinking if sort of collectively as people focused on supply chain, if we have things we want to.
Yeah, I think that would be good to mention, and definitely helpful for us to discuss within the community.
So I wrote the majority of the Cloud Native Security supply chain section myself. Definitely agree there's gaps there. What I would recommend doing is to first let Pushkar know about the changes you want. That the end result should be something in Git in a GitHub issue that that gets added to it, so that way it can be added to the tracking, and that's by far the best way to start. And then from there, it's a matter of gaining access to the Google Doc, proposing the changes that you want. People will review it, accept or reject, or so on. It's iterative at that point. So definitely get involved with it. And very first thing you should do is reach out to Pushkar and let them know your intentions.
Yeah, and I think what has happened, at least now this is already version 3 of the white paper, is that version 2 retrospective, we get a lot of like, oh, how about this, how about this, how about this other thing? And so we, like Frederick said, we have the issues, and then we create a tracking issue for like now the version 4 of the white paper. And I would say we release a white paper almost like every year. So it's not like you're waiting like multiple years to get one out. So it's intended to be a living document. Yeah. That said, I think it's valuable. Probably, Justin, it sounds like you had some topics to discuss, and then it'll be helpful to get even more feedback from folks on the call, and then we can put that together.
Yeah, I think maybe once I talk with Pushkar, build the lay of the land, and put an issue together, then I can maybe mention in this group, or people can see it and glob on. But it's just all this stuff should be done in the open, and I wasn't sure what community to do it in the open with first and how to start that. So thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's okay to have conversations with people. As long as it ends up with something concrete that ends up in the document that is reviewable, so it doesn't become, this is the final form, put it in. It becomes, here's a proposal written by these people, and to drop it in. And so one technique that I found really works is, because there's too much noise in the Google Doc, is the sections that I co-authored with other people, we put into a Hackney. That way we could iterate on what we wanted, but we also made it open for anyone who wanted to jump in. All they had to do was stick their name at the very top if they wanted to be credited as an author. And then they were free to modify things that they saw fit at that point.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so
just make sure somebody's role is to shepherd it back into the document, because it'd be terrible to do all that work and then to have everyone think, oh, I thought you were responsible, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, I would definitely put a note down in the security white paper. Wait, is there a retrospective already for that one? Yeah, so we had, let's see, provide feedback from retrospective and microsurvey. Yeah, so we had one for like one of these issues we had was for one of the white papers. So it could be asking Pushka to open another issue around this, so that then we can start collecting all the feedback again. It sounds like he's in the early stages of doing the retrospective stuff, so he may not have created the issue yet. Justin, is that good?
Yep, it's clear enough to me the next step to take, and yeah, great.
Okay. Okay. Notes. And I'll do an action item for Pushka to open up the issue so that we can have that. Awesome. Any other topics?
So for the security village, do you have a group put together already for working out what that's going to look like for KubeCon?
Not yet. So Raga is actually coordinating that. That's issue 1012.
Okay, 1012. Thanks.
Yeah. So that was just newly created. Details are still very, very in flight because like we're not even sure what the what we're gonna be able to get. So so background on that is a couple of us, so myself, Marina, Raga, met with the Cloud Native Security Con co-chairs, so Emily, Liz, Angela from LF, and then we discussed basically like how we can evolve the event. So that was like really we just spent like 15 minutes on it. It wasn't like, oh, we can do this, we can do this. It was just like here's some ideas that we think would be cool. So definitely, I think when the time comes, there'll be some follow up on that. But I'm assuming that this will really kick off around February timeframe after Cloud Native Security Con.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that we get it all, at least the structure put in place, so that we can make sure we have a good ramp up into KubeCon, since KubeCon itself is a huge logistical thing. So.
Yeah, I can't imagine what it must be. Well, that's you have a slice of that pie now, so.
Yeah. So that's why I'm asking, just to make sure that we have the right contacts now. Because what I don't want is us talking about it. Hey, like March comes around, it's like, hey, what are we going to do? And it's like, oh, too late. So.
Yeah. So so if you think that that's something that we need to get off the ground earlier than later, then yeah.
Are you all are all of you guys coming to Seattle for SecCon? Maybe we should. If you guys are coming, maybe we should do our get together here, maybe a lunch or something, or dinner maybe.
I'd be down. I'm gonna be there.
Cool.
I intend to be there.
So Asad, what you can do, and we used to do this. So we used to organize like dinners every time we had a KubeCon.
Yeah,
and then we stopped when COVID happened. and then we've never like gone back to organizing it. So this will be a good
Yeah,
time.
let's
to
do that.
start
Let's
that.
do that. And February will be, like a little cold, but not that cold. I mean, Seattle is not exactly Chicago or Minnesota, so it's not that as cold. It's somewhat cold. So I think it will be good conditions. Would love to see all of you. Love to get together.
Yeah,
So create an
temperature-
issue. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the temperature will be good, but most likely it'll be windy and rainy. So do factor that in to bring a nice waterproof shell.
I'm taking recommendations for good raincoats. So
Yeah, whatever you do, don't bring umbrella because you will stick out like a sore thumb. Nobody in
Well,
Seattle.
Well, so will your umbrella. Every person I know who's taken one has had their umbrella inverted in terrible ways.
just a hoodie, a jacket would be fine.
So, yeah, if you can create an issue, it'd be like Cloud Native Security Con get together, like dinner or something, and then get people to chime in. We'll share that at the main meeting as well.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. If you guys know, I mean, I can arrange something. I can organize it. If you guys just confirm, it don't have to be right now, but if you can just confirm that you will be coming, so we can make arrangement.
Yeah. So wanna show you. So this is how we've done it before. Let me show you. So okay, here's an example of how we've herd sheep together. So this is worked on in the past. So we create the issue, get folks to chime in, have some kind
Really?
of like poll
Okay.
or form or something, take a few pictures, that's
Very
the MO.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Cool. So sounds good. If you can help create the issue, we help like megaphone it to the main group as well.
Can we do that? Can we? Do you want me to create a new issue and say, hey, get together in Seattle or something like that, and please
Yeah.
put your name in if you are interested or something like that?
Yes.
Very nice.
Exactly that. Yeah. And once you create the issue, just put it in the main tech security group so people, the Slack channel, so people can see it. Okay, cool. So I have one issue that I wanted to discuss as well, and this is issue number 987. And this is about what does it mean to have a supply chain security policy. So let me link it here. I think the idea here is like, I think there are a lot of like tools and a lot of like definitions and a lot of like kind of like the nuts and bolts of like how to do security policy, but I think there isn't like a clear idea on like what are we actually asking, and then how, and then like, so first before even like how do we actually do it, it's like what exactly are we asking in terms of supply chain policy, right? Like, so step one is like, what do I mean when I want to say is the thing that I'm creating, the thing that I'm deploying, or all my software has secure supply chain, right? Does it mean that, I know what their build provenance is? Does it mean that I know all the dependencies that they come with? Good dependencies. What do I mean by good dependencies? What do I mean by they were developed by good developers or developers I trust? And like along this, the whole hierarchy or from the top, right? Like how much do I really, like at what level do I, it's a turtles all the way down problem, right? So at what level then can I reason about it and be comfortable to saying that, this is all I ask for, up to 5 levels deep on my software or something, right? And I think like with largely approach the problem from a bottom-up approach. So like, you know, in total layouts, we have like Salsa. Now we have like things like Guac to kind of like try and bring this information together. Like each of them do something very specific, but very specific to each use case. But I think from at least like more like an executive standpoint or like a policy standpoint, it's not clear how like the risk management policies then translate to these like these technologies. So this issue, sorry, go ahead.
I think with anything security, you don't really go from there isn't any way to do X to you perfectly do X. It's like under these assumptions, then this property holds in this way. And sometimes the property you get is you get to detect something before that could go by unnoticed. Sometimes you prevent attacks. You know, sometimes you can't prevent or detect, but after the fact, you can go and figure out like who to blame in a good way. So I think we just have to, I think part of what I was hoping to add to the other document or to make a little clearer with some of the other things is that breakdown of how that goes. And so I think we could come up with more of, I think Christopher was miming it like a gradiated scale of things. And I think that would be a good way to go about representing it. But I think we want to be careful not to say like, oh, if you use an in total layout, you're secure. And if you don't, you're not, because that's not accurate.
Just for my own edification and kind of, I don't know if other people have this question. How do we bound and constrain this like gradient that we're moving up and down from things like Salsa? Like, how do we just say, hey, this is different, or are we actually solving the same problem? Like, are we intersecting? Like, what's the Venn diagram look like with something like this?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like, Salsa is pretty prescriptive about how you do things, and I think this is a little different in terms of, you know, this thing gives you this property, without being judgmental about whether that's the right property, if that makes sense. So, you know, let's say you only really care, like you don't think there's a big difference between detection and prevention. You just want to detect things, and you're only really concerned about this one step. Then I think you could capture that, and we could say this is how you get that property. These are systems and ways of doing it, where Salsa might say that is a, you know, that might fall under a subcategory of Salsa level 3 or something, and we're not trying to rank them, basically.
That makes sense. Okay, nice.
Also, I think what I had in mind was like coming up with like, here are a bunch of things on different scales that matter to different people. And so like, it's basically like develop a reputation and build provenance, amount of checks and verification. So like kind of just like defining that in a way, and then having that framework that then we can do the mapping later on. So my initial thought of this was just like, we'll come up with the bare minimum is maybe like a 4 or 5 page white paper, like a small paper. And then if we do have like examples, real life examples, then that would be even better, right? But just being like, here's the kind of like the axes that you should think about when you're thinking about supply chain security policy, and really this would be, no matter what you do, it would you should be thinking about it in terms of how does what you do meet the bottom line of these like 5 different categories or something. So want to get general thoughts on whether like this is something that like folks in the working group would like to discuss further as like a work item.
I maybe, perhaps everybody else knows all that stuff, but I really think it would be helpful if we, if we, at some point, if we can have a discussion about, or maybe a deep dive on some of these tools, like, for example, SALSA and other tools which are involved in securing the supply chain. Would love to know more about it. I would love to know, also, I think in Toto and SALSA and all this stuff. I think that would be very helpful, at least to me. I don't know about how other people feel about this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think your idea here is good. I think it's something that would benefit a lot of people. I think it should. The question would be, do we want to scope it for this particular working group, or would it be something we want to scope to the broader audience first? And the second thing with it is, one of the things that I find a little bit frustrating is I've not heard anyone in our circles ever state that like SBOM solve, or in Toto or other similar, solve all the problems up and down the whole space. But when we hear feedback or criticism, there's often statements about, oh, we thought SBOMs would solve everything. It's like, well, no one said that. And so I think part of the conversation, if we do anything towards this, also has to be, what are the reasonable expectations and what are the limits? Like, SALSA will take you up to a certain area and help you in a given set of vertices, but it will not fundamentally solve every part of your supply chain system, but it will give you a defendable part for a given well-defined scope. And then the question is, what do you have to do once you have SALSA? Then what are other things you can attach to it that further increase your posture?
Yeah.
I would recommend. Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to say, it's also even more confusing because SALSA is basically just a opinionated layer on top of Intoto at the stations. So it's, I think, even harder to tease things apart in many cases than you think. And Intoto is general enough. It's more complicated than this, but I'm going to use a really bad analogy for a minute here. So if I tell you, like, oh, if you GPG sign something, then you can like attest to it. What can you do if you GPG sign something? And the real question is like, what are you signing? And how do you know the thing you're signing is correct, right? And so like the act of being able to sign something is fundamental. And a lot of these tools, like Intoto, for example, have a really fundamental role. But if you apply them to garbage, you get garbage out, is what I'm trying to say. The same with SBOMs. Like, having an SBOM is great, but if your SBOM is completely inaccurate, as most of them apparently are, then it's of dubious value. So this is also further complicating the situation.
So one thing I recommend, I think, Asad, if you want to get more involved with some of these things, is Marina is putting together like a landscape, and so I think if you get involved with the effort, it will just naturally like help you get a sense. And I think Marina is also a really great person to kind of like guide you along and to kind of like provide clarity on some of these things.
I would love that. I would love it very much, because you mean the spreadsheet, right? We just shared.
Yeah. So the issue that I shared, which is on this for the spreadsheet, I think, you know, if you give a shout out, like ping to Marina, ask her like, oh, this is, you'd like to get more involved, like understanding the tools and like how we can help out with some of this. I think she should be happy to kind of
Marina, yeah, let me.
Marina Mall.
Are you talking about
She's a tag.
Marina Antonia?
Wait.
She's a tag tech lead. So if you go to like the leadership for tag security, you'll see her name there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ping you on, I tag both of you on Slack.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool, very cool. I saw
Yeah,
that.
and I also just like comment on the issue, saying they're interested in participating in that. Yeah. Yeah. And I think just to reiterate what Patrick said earlier, it's kind of like, and like everything that the group kind of does like should like eventually all like push into issues. So it's like Slack and all that is like convenience, but you know, issues is still kind of like the source of truth.
Cool.
Awesome. I have a quick question on the policy work. Is there anyone that's interested in leading that policy document that we talked about?
Could you elaborate on that? What policy document is that?
So issue 987.
Okay, 987.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I think Justin brought up one quick point. Brandon, before I like raise my hand to volunteer for it, I just wanted to get a clarification on one thing. When we talk about attestations in this issue, are we trying to scope to content and provenance, or are we also talking about other things that you could attest to? Specifically, when the sentence in there is data we need to produce and inform the models of attestation in the supply chain ecosystem. So what's this, when you think of the scope of the models of attestation, just give me a quick short list of like the universe that you want this paper to land in.
So it's like, okay, where like how my thing is being built, who is it being built by, you know, who has like approved some of these things, what's the quality in a very broad term of like the thing that I'm running. Yeah, I think like the quality breaks down into like how would they generate their which tools did they come from, you know, so-called like grading, although I just don't necessarily want to use that term of like the code that's being written on it, right? Like is there a score for the code? Is there a score for like everything else that comes with it? And I think like just like having a rundown on like, okay, here if I were to go up to like in a hypothetical world, if I were to go up to a security officer in a CISO and be like, I have all the data in the world, like what question would you ask me that you want your software to say yes, that you would be confident that you would be protected? Yeah. And so I want to keep it as open-ended. It doesn't have to be limited by like what we have today. I think this is more like a future-looking like position document on like this is what we should strive for.
I'll raise my hand. Be happy to contribute. I can't lead it just yet. I can't commit
Okay.
to leading it because I have a lot of other stuff right now at the startup, but I can contribute for sure.
Okay. Yeah. If you could put a comment on 987. I need to find a lead for this, but in the meantime, once this gets sorted out, then we'll bring it back to the group.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm happy to pitch in too, but I can't lead either, really. It's just too
Okay.
much.
Okay. Yeah, and I see you already implemented Justin. Cool. Anything else we want to chat about? If not, I think we can call it a day. Cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thanks.